for the invitation. It's a really great experience to be here, and having been involved in this expert meeting with so many different experts. So when we started our archive, this was 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, the question was, or maybe I first say 20 years ago I founded Arcus.com in Berlin, and 10 years ago the Mars Exploratory Media Lab at Fraunhofer Institute in Germany. And with the Mars Lab we were able to get a research project to document media art, which was our interest, to document the, let's say, the Zeitgeschehen, what's going on in media art. As media artists, we saw that all the works were not very well documented or very much selected through very few media art historians. And we were interested to build up a picture or an image of the current development also. And when we started, there was nothing. We had no content, let's say, and we were thinking about how do we build an archive when nothing is there. So we decided, and how do we find our way in the archive when there is a lot of information. This was another question in the beginning, and what partners would be important. So these were some of the questions we had. And we started with an email poll in 97, 98, and asked our international media art community what would be important when we build up such a platform. And the results are still to find on the archive of Netzspannung.org in the CAT study, in the Netzspannung about history. So since 98, Netzspannung.org, it was conceptually prepared, and in 2001 it was first online. In this time, of course, we had started in the beginning, of course, with the issue of selection, because we saw that the selected works should be in on more shoulders than just on one editorial board. So we were thinking about programs where more people could be involved. So now we have curated and open areas for the on Netzspannung, and until the latest new project was in 2008, the Digital Sparks contest, which brought the latest works in media art in the German-speaking countries, because this is a contest which focuses on the German-speaking countries. But the platform itself today works like an e-teaching platform, where usually monthly 250,000 people use this as a pool or resource of information. The data are structured like in a usual archive, but around the author and the work, and all is brought into context, and to get the context better seen, or to get better overview for people who don't know what is in this archive, we developed a lot of different phases for the archive, a lot of different interfaces, which allow you not to need somebody who is like in a library at the entrance. Did you test also the acoustic?
You can try.
Yeah. Now the video is on, so it should, but I don't hear.
No.
I wanted to show a short video on Netzspannung.
Netzspannung.org is an online archive for media art and digital culture. The internet platform is organized on a cross-disciplinary basis as an interface between media art, media science, and media technology. Netzspannung.org is an information pool for artists, designers, scientists and scholars. Netzspannung.org presents an online archive for media art and digital culture, such as cultural heritage. The internet platform is organized on a cross-disciplinary basis, perform and play as an interface on interactive play and media science.
Stop that. I will stop it because I think there were two videos running.
Netzspannung.org is an online archive for media art and digital culture. The internet platform is organized on a cross-disciplinary basis as an interface between media art, media science, and media technology. Netzspannung.org is an information pool for artists, designers, scientists, and scholars. Netzspannung.org is an online archive for media art and digital culture, such as cultural heritage. The internet platform is organized on a cross-disciplinary basis.
It's a pity, but I give up with this. It would give you a very good overview. Look at the website and get this video, but it makes no sense here. I'm sorry. It would show you the different categories of programs we have, like this contest, or like media art research, or the learning and teaching category, which we have, and all have different interfaces and structures, all have different forms how to bring the information in, either the peer-reviewed works or the user-generated works. But as I said, this is much more visible in this short video on the website. The Digital Sparks, as one category, is a community process. We call that a user-generated content, but also something where really a lot of people are involved, because it is a biannual award. It's based on mentorships of professors. They have to give their best students, or the best or most interesting works. They have to give a comment to bring it onto the platform and bring it into this contest. And then it is reviewed by two experts online. In the end, there is a jury meeting which selects the best of it, but all these projects are documented. And about 120 experts, mainly in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, but also some experts worldwide, because all is in German, are invited. And these are usually more than 120 who are involved. Then the works are shown in the end at awarding ceremonies at Ars Electronica, or at EMAF in Osnabrück, or at ZKM in Karlsruhe, for example. Over the years, from 2001 to 2008, it shows it originated a canon of contemporary media art of around 600 projects. And for browsing it, we developed the matrix interface that lays out information side by side. It represents all database entries next to each other by using an image icon. The matrix includes a virtual lens, which gives a visual and textual orientation through images and keywords. So when your computer is online, you can use the matrix to navigate deeply in the Netzspannung archive. With this Digital Sparks content strategy, we have an information cycle. Information comes in from a single individuum, from the artist. It is processed and finally archived and accessible in form of special interfaces such as this matrix. Another interface we developed is the semantic map, which is important, therefore, because in this archive is this professional and editorial content, but also content from people from outside who use the Netzkollektor, which is the open channel of Netzspannung.org. And the semantic map is organizing all new content in a new way. So the archive is constantly living and growing. And depending on this growing, it is focusing on new topics, if the topics of interactive goes to digital or connected or whatever. So it is changing. That means, of course, that you never go back to this archive, and after a year it will look different because other works were coming in, and it shows relations and connections to other works. This semantic map is a self-organizing navigation map, which is semi-automatic. It's based on a neural network and a semantic analysis of text. It combines semantic and dynamic zooming. If you go deeply, you see, you choose one project and see the connections to others. On this site where I have in comparison the Ebsdorfer Weltkarte, which shows Jerusalem in the center, and how in the medieval times the navigation maps were, or information maps were made, and comparing to this, where there is one center, there was one center, Jerusalem. The semantic map has no center, it changes depending on the subject. So, and another interface we have to give people the opportunity to, who doesn't know about something, is this Medienfluss, which is not only online in the internet as an interface, but also as an art installation at the ZKM at the moment, where, like in a river or in a flow, the words and the images of the whole database is flowing by. And when you choose one name or one word or one project, you get a context of images, titles, authors, and keywords related to what is what you are looking for. So in the small image, in the small video up there, you see a little bit how this floating Medienfluss, flow in time and of time and information is working. And when you, as a visitor, stop this flow of information, you get, you stop this, what we call a time-based narration of an archive. So I think I should come to an end and explain shortly what we see here is this, dots on the world map are the locations in the media art locations which we identified in the beginning 10 years ago. And when we are, when the Netzspannung.org archive will come to ZKM, which will be soon in a few weeks, we will hopefully update all these dots and show how the media art community has grown today. So this is just to show you that our archive is a kind of showroom, of Schaulager, that exhibits artists and works potentially for more than 15 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an extremely elaborate and extensive work that you've been doing. And that makes me wonder, I mean, knowing that a couple of weeks ago, of course, a couple of months ago already, in Cologne, the whole archive collapsed and everything. But if you look at this and everything, it seems like, well, Germany is so well structured and everything, but is that really true?
If it's well structured?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be so well archived and everything, not structured in the sense of building everything, but of collecting information.
Yeah, that's the same. I mean, it's really something. You know, it is really something that we had I mean, for us as artists it was difficult, but we had the opportunity to work on the concept really very deeply. And when we started in '98, of course it didn't stop with an email poll, ask artists, but this is what we wanted to ask first. And then we asked computer scientists and documentary people. And so we worked on the concept very hard, and we had 1 or 2 tests and made it public, and invited in workshops, invited people to test our, for example, Christiane Paul was there to test the semantic web map and how difficult it was to use it, and you know, how is that for curators, how is that for teachers or for professors or for media artists themselves, who could use what. And I mean, it is really, I mean, I'm really happy about when I hear today that people come from Chile or Ukraine and tell me that the last 3 years they were working with Netzspannung to get training, to learn. Because, I mean, especially the teaching, I couldn't talk about the teaching category at the moment, has so many very good examples and it's so well documented. But the basic point was that it was only going online in 2001, which is for an artist, I mean, incredibly long time to when you cannot show something. But it was important to do it because, and we were, I mean, that's what I have to say as well, we were looking for the best people. We were, so on one hand, we told our ministry for years that it's important to archive media art because it will be gone. And we don't archive software, we document the projects, but very, very extensive. And what we learned was, I mean, we really tested or learned so much about computer science of databases, you know, that we were sure now we have the right people to work with, because this was most important. Then we were looking for editorial people, we were looking for, I mean, we were really a big team for years. Yeah? After 10 years, the funding which we got after 4 years from everywhere else, after 4 years the first funding stopped, and then we got other research projects to follow up, and this was important. And now we decided that this is really a big ship, you can say. You have to do so much with maintenance, and we want, as artists, we would like to give it to a museum, find a good partner, and say, now we want to go back a bit and hope that we find good partners to still have it live. Yeah.
And sustain it, of course. I think that.
And I hope this will happen with the ZKM, which is
definitely
at the moment in. We do the contract that it will still be open. It will still not cost anything. It will still be free, and so that's the point. What they don't know what it means, you know, to have such a living archive.
No, absolutely. I think sustainability is a crucial point in all these kind of projects that we're dealing with.
Yes, I'd like to make what may be a question, but certainly is a remark. And I'm quite familiar with the early stages of Art.com, and so they were doing what I would call interactive visualization, and maybe you know this globe which you could turn around, and I think this Art.com, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there I could always navigate. I've used it to see different stages of this project, and I thought the simple interfaces of it were great because I could navigate space. And I see two basic, I want to refer to two concepts I see. And one, I say, okay, I can refer to this, I can refer to a globe in which I go, because I know the globe as an object. I've learned that through time. I know the globe also as it's being projected in flat maps. Then the other thing is, I see a river, and so there's something flowing, but then I see semantic maps. And then I'm completely lost. And I remember this semantic maps, the early things was MIT, multimedia maps, they did these things with text when it was not possible yet with images. And I've seen these things 20 years ago or something like that. And each time, I think it's a hopeless kind of thing, but just imagine that you go for your work or you go to the city, you come from your neighborhood, you know the street, you know your house, etc. You come back, all the streets are different, the house is gone, it's been mirrored, God knows what. This is basically the concept of semantic maps. And I think this is a misunderstanding. And I would pledge for not to do it. Because when we, it's a lot of, I know the history of the software, why this was possible. But Us humans, we cannot do it. And also we have the limitations of just this stupid screen. Whatever we do, the biggest story we tell is just a screen. Now say that the screen gets 10 times bigger, and with, say, 300 dpi resolution. Oh, it might be different, but then still it's this thing. And space is something else. This is the non-space. And so when I see the river interface, then I say it's a river. And then I say fix and flux. It's like stones in a river. Because then I see my data stream, but I see stones. So stones are stepping stones. Because I need a reference point for information. I think it's essential. And I really contest fundamentally semantic mappings and things like that, which are nice tools for very specific researchers, but for public interfaces, I think they are useless. And I think they should not be put energy in it. I've seen data clouds. Data clouds. The last thing is the data cloud of Bormans from Beuningen of their collection, which was a big mystification. You could do nothing with it. It was useless. Just linear information.
But you know, we have of course all kinds of search tools, very classic search tools. So you find all information you know about. But what we wanted to do is give people the opportunity and the inspiring of seeing works you didn't know about. And the river, by the way, it's never the same river you go into it, you know? It's also growing, and it is really about not a fixed archive. So if you have an archive which is open and always new things come in, then you have to find ideas or forms. How do you show that? So this is as open as the semantic map. And the semantic map is of course not changing its whole image and interface and the locations tomorrow. It's like in a city. The city is changing when I come back a year. Yes, slowly. And this is slowly, it's depending on what is there, how much material is there. And that's what I said. We started with nothing, and the documents were growing. If you have an archive which is huge, has a huge, you want to digitize a huge archive, this is a totally different approach. You have to, but we were creative in doing different interfaces to how can you use this archive. There is, for example, for the teaching, also very different. And of course, the semantic map is not an easy tool, but it was a very interesting research work for us, and many other people learned from it, and we still use that to find unusual or unsought connections between projects, which is very helpful. And it's